1. The Conjuring. It is a 2013 American supernatural horror film directed by James Wan and written by Chad Hayes and Carrie W. Hayes. It is the inaugural film in the Conjuring Universe franchise. Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga star as Ed and Lorraine Warren, paranormal investigators and authors associated with prominent cases of haunting. Their purportedly real-life reports inspired the Amityville horror story and the associated film franchise. The Warrens come to the assistance of the Perron family, who experienced increasingly disturbing events in their newly occupied farmhouse in Rhode Island in 1971. Development of the film began in January 2012 and reports confirmed Wan as the director of a film entitled The Warren Files, later retitled The Conjuring. The Conjuring was released in the United States and Canada on July 19, 2013 by Warner Bros. Pictures and New Line Cinema. It received positive reviews from critics and grossed over $319 million worldwide against its $20 million budget. It won Best Horror Movie Award at Empire Awards, Golden Trailer Awards, IGN Summer Movie Awards and Saturn Awards. A sequel, The Conjuring 2, was released in 2016. 2. Annabelle. It is a 2014 American supernatural horror film directed by John R. Leonetti, written by Gary Dauberman. It stars Annabelle Wallis, Ward Horton, and Alfre Woodard. Principal photography began in January 2014 in Los Angeles. It premiered at the TCL Chinese Theater in Los Angeles on September 29, 2014 and was theatrically released in the United States on October 3, 2014 by Warner Bros. Pictures and New Line Cinema. The film was inspired by a story of a doll named Annabelle by Ed and Lorraine Warren. It is a spin-off and prequel to the 2013 film The Conjuring and the second installment overall in the Conjuring universe, and was announced shortly after the release of that movie because of its worldwide box office success and positive reception of the depiction of the doll. Annabelle grossed over $257 million against its $6.5 million production budget, despite receiving negative reviews from critics. A prequel, titled Annabelle Creation, was released on August 11, 2017. 3. The Conjuring 2, The Enfield Case. It is a 2016 American supernatural horror film directed by James Wan. It is a sequel to 2013's The Conjuring, the second installment in the Conjuring series and the third installment in the Conjuring Universe franchise. Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga reprise their roles as paranormal investigators and authors Ed and Lorraine Warren from the first film. The film follows the Warrens as they travel to England to assist the Hodgson family, who are experiencing poltergeist activity at their Enfield council house in 1977, which later became referred to as the Enfield Poltergeist, in July 2013. Before the release of the first film, it was reported that New Line Cinema was already developing a sequel with both Farmiga and Wilson signed on to reprise their roles. By October 2014, it was announced that Wan would return to direct the sequel and would make his first contribution as a writer in the franchise. The Conjuring 2 had its world premiere at TCL Chinese Theater on June 7, 2016 and was theatrically released in the United States on June 10, 2016 by Warner Bros. Pictures and New Line Cinema. The film received generally positive reviews from critics and grossed over $320 million worldwide. A spin-off prequel, The Nun, was released in September 2018 and a sequel, The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, was released in June 2021. It won Best Horror TV Spot Award at Golden Trailer Awards. 4. Annabelle Creation. It is a 2017 American supernatural horror film directed by David F. Sandberg, written by Gary Dauberman. It is a prequel to 2014's Annabelle and the fourth installment in the Conjuring Universe franchise. The film stars Stephanie Sigman, Talitha Bateman, Lulu Wilson, Anthony LaPaglia, and Miranda Otto and depicts the possessed Annabelle doll's origin. In October 2015, it was confirmed that an Annabelle sequel was in development. It was later revealed that the film would be a prequel rather than a sequel. Lights Out director David F. Sandberg replaced John R. Leonetti as director, with Dauberman returning to write the script and Safran and Wan returning to produce. The film premiered at the LA Film Festival on June 19, 2017 and was theatrically released in the United States on August 11, 2017. The film grossed over $306 million worldwide and received generally positive reviews from critics. A sequel, Annabelle Comes Home, was released on June 26, 2019. 5. The Nun. It is a 2018 American Gothic supernatural horror film directed by Corin Hardy and written by Gary Dauberman from a story by Dauberman and James Wan. It serves as a spiritual spin-off to The Conjuring 2 and is the fifth installment in the Conjuring shared universe. The film stars Taissa Farmiga, Damien Bichir, and Jonas Bloquet, with Bonnie Arendt reprising her role as the demon nun, an incarnation of Valak from The Conjuring 2. The plot follows a Roman Catholic priest and a nun in her novitiate as they uncover an unholy secret in 1952 Romania. Warner Bros. Pictures and New Line Cinema announced The Nun, a spin-off film to The Conjuring 2 which had opened 5 days earlier with Peter Safran and Warren producing. The Nun was released in the United States on September 7, 2018. It grossed $366 million worldwide off a $22 million budget, becoming the highest-grossing film of the Conjuring series, despite the negative reviews it received from critics. In 2023, a sequel, The Nun 2, was released. 6. Annabelle Comes Home. It is a 2019 American supernatural horror film written and directed by Gary Dauberman in his directorial debut from a story by Dauberman and James Wan, who also served as producer with Peter Safran. It serves as a sequel to 2014's Annabelle and 2017's Annabelle, Creation, and as the sixth installment in the Conjuring Universe franchise. The film stars McKenna Grace, Madison Iseman and Katie Sarif along with Vera Farmiga and Patrick Wilson, who reprised their roles as Ed and Lorraine Warren. It was theatrically released in the United States on June 26, 2019 by Warner Bros. Pictures and New Line Cinema. It grossed $74.2 million in the United States and Canada and $157.1 million in other territories, for a worldwide total of $231.3 million. Deadline Hollywood calculated the net profit of the film to be $64 million when factoring together all expenses and revenues. 7. The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. It is a 2021 American supernatural horror film directed by Michael Chavez with a screenplay by David Leslie Johnson McGoldrick from a story by Johnson McGoldrick and James Wan. The film is a sequel to The Conjuring, 2013, and The Conjuring 2, 2016, and the seventh installment in the Conjuring universe. Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga reprise their roles as paranormal investigators and authors Ed and Lorraine Warren, with Ruairi O'Connor, Sarah Catherine Hook in her feature film debut and Julian Hilliard also starring. Wan and Peter Safran returned to produce the film, which is based on the trial of Arne Cheyenne Johnson, a murder trial that took place in 1981 Connecticut in addition to The Devil in Connecticut, a book about the trial written by Gerald Brittle. Originally slated for a September 2020 release, the film was delayed due to the COVID-19 pandemic. It was released by Warner Bros. Pictures and New Line Cinema in the United States on June 4, 2021 and also had a simultaneous month-long release on the HBO Max streaming service. The film grossed $206 million against a budget of $39 million and received mixed reviews from critics. A sequel, The Conjuring, Last Rites, is scheduled to be released in September 2025. 8. The Nun 2. The Nun 2 is a 2023 American Gothic supernatural horror film directed by Michael Chavez with a screenplay written by Ian Goldberg, Richard Naying, and Akela Cooper from a story by Cooper, serving as a sequel to The Nun, 2018, and the eighth installment in the Conjuring Universe franchise. The film stars Taissa Farmiga, Jonas Bloquet, and Bonnie Aarons, returning from the first film with Storm Reed and Anna Popplewell joining the cast. Peter Safran and James Wan return as producers. The Nun 2 was released in the United States by Warner Bros. Pictures on September 8, 2023. The film was a commercial success and received mixed reviews from critics. The film grossed $86.3 million in the United States and Canada and $183.2 million in other territories, for a worldwide total of $269.5 million. Deadline Hollywood calculated the net profit of the film to be $85 million when factoring together all expenses and revenues. 9. The Conjuring, Last Rites. It is an upcoming American supernatural horror film directed by Michael Chavez, with a script written by Ian Goldberg, Richard Naying, and David Leslie Johnson McGoldrick, based on the true-life investigations of the Warrens through an original story co-authored by James Wan and Johnson McGoldrick. The film stars Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga, who reprise their roles as paranormal investigators and authors Ed and Lorraine Warren along with Mia Tomlinson and Ben Hardy. It is the sequel to The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, 2021, and the ninth installment of the Conjuring universe. Chavez returns as director from the previous film and James Wan and Peter Safran return to produce. The Conjuring, Last Rites is scheduled to be released in the United States on September 5, 2025.